taking a deep dive into the business with experts from every facet of the industry. It's the Turn Podcast, a golf business and experience podcast powered by Troon.
It's another episode of the Turn Podcast. I'm Julia Kelly here with Kris Strauss and a very special guest, Cheyenne Woods. Kris, it's Women's Golf Month again.
It sure is, and it's one of my favorite months of the year in that we really amplify our efforts to grow the game for women golfers. And I'll say this as a little caveat. Every day of the year, every month of the year, our PGA, LPGA professionals are dedicated to growing the game of golf. And that happens like 365 days a year. But we chose this month to really amplify our efforts and tell that story more and really amp up our programming and amp up the all of the messaging around all the great attributes that this game has to play golf and get more girls in the game of golf, get more adult ladies in the game of golf, get returning seniors back into the game of golf who haven't played. And again, so if you have a loved one or you yourself are listening and haven't played golf in a while and you want to get re-engaged, I encourage you to go to troon.com and check out all the facilities programming that's happening in the world of Troon around Women's Golf Month. And so, again, super excited about this guest, right?
I don't know any other woman, LPGA professional and team Trooner, who can help us with this topic more.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
And so, Cheyenne, we'll try to rattle off some of your accolades before you get rolling. Obviously, you grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, played golf for Xavier Prep. Went on to Wake Forest, won an ACC championship at Wake Forest, graduated in 2012, played on the Ladies European Tour, played on the LPGA Tour, won twice. I guess it was this year, you were inducted into the Wake Forest Hall of Fame, correct?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. What a great honor, and certainly a great ambassador for that school as well. And you're a great ambassador for the game of golf. So, but before we dive into what's going on in your world today, let's go back a bit. How did you get introduced to the game of golf? Who got you into this game?
Oh man. Well, so much of my life has been evolved around golf. And I started first when I was about 5 years old. Neither of my parents played golf. I have two older brothers. They never played golf. But my grandpa is the one who got me introduced to the game. My grandpa, Earl Woods, first gave me my first set of clubs. And growing up, I started playing golf around 95. So it was close to the time when Tiger was entering the scene. And as my uncle, it was really cool to have that connection as a young girl in the game. And to see him on TV and somebody that I know, it really made golf exciting for me. And we had great junior programs in the Phoenix area that I got involved in, and I immediately fell in love with golf. So at 5 years old, I got started playing tournaments at about 8 years old. And from there, I just knew that was the life that I wanted and the sport that I loved. And, I always saw myself playing professionally. So that was kind of the goal that kept me going throughout my journey in golf.
As a woman and a woman of color in the game of golf, I'm sure that your experience was different than your friends because of that lineage. What were the positives and negatives of that?
Yeah. Growing up in Phoenix isn't extremely diverse to begin with. And so I'm biracial. My mom is white. My dad is Black. And my parents were divorced. So I grew up with my mom, a white woman. And at a young age, she made it a point to join a minority golf group, junior golf group for myself, so that I could be around other little girls and golfers that kind of looked like me. So I really credit her for making that a point to make me comfortable and kind of in a fun environment to where I didn't feel like I was alone or the only one. I was also in other golf groups to where I was the only one, but I found that confidence and that comfort in a sport that I loved, regardless of what I looked like. But it was important to have that safe environment of making friends and learning a sport around people that, I could relate to a little bit just based off of our skin color, and especially in a sport that wasn't traditionally that way. So that was really important. And I like I said, credit my mom for that and making that a point in my junior golf career.
Awesome. And, lately, if you look at the trends, the two segments that are booming in golf right now seem to be based on the data, what the data is sharing in NGF data. It's junior golf and women golf. So what do you attribute on the women front? What do you attribute the explosion in the game of golf and the interest in golf that's occurred?
I think because there was such lack of that, that the last few years, any growth, it seems like a boom. And we see the numbers and it is a boom. And I think that the word's finally getting out of the opportunity within golf, the experiences that you can gain within golf, and the access to golf is now opening up so much more. I love the initiatives that are being pushed to open up the world of golf to everybody. And I think especially growing up, golf was seen as a stereotypical sport, country club, buttoned up. Whereas now it is more mainstream for the average Joe to go out and play, whether you're a man, a woman, no matter where you're from, how much money you have. There's a way to play golf. So I think that's definitely a part of this boom that we're seeing in junior golfers and then women as well, which is really exciting.
For a woman that's on the sideline that hasn't taken up the game yet, and this is an intimidating game, right? Like what recommendations would you give to her on how to get out of the starting blocks and get going?
I always encourage women to find somebody to learn the game with, whether that be a family member, a child, a friend, but to find somebody to go to the golf course with, kind of learn together, because I do feel like no matter what environment you're in, it is a little scary doing stuff by yourself. But if you do it with somebody that you can enjoy it with, I think that really helps the experience. And then I would also encourage women, because there's so many women's groups to go out and join, different skill levels. You can go and just have a range session for an hour, or go play 9 holes with some wine. But there's so many women's groups within different cities that you can join, make friends, and also learn the game. So I think finding that community is really important when you're learning something new. So finding those resources or finding that friend to go do it with, I think really helps.
What's the best place to find a list of those groups? Like, where do you find that resource?
Honestly, I find them on Instagram.
Okay.
Just from local, you can even search hashtags. I do that with different vendors I'm searching for, or different services I'm looking for locally. But if you can search hashtags or even look on Instagram, also your local state golf associations probably have resources as well. So in Arizona, we have the Arizona Golf Association, and they'll probably have resources for you to look for the local golf groups, or they even provide lessons and rules seminars to learn different aspects of the game too.
What if you're an operator, Cheyenne, what do you think the best way is to make the game more inclusive to women?
I think understanding why women would want to golf, understanding the consumer, understanding who that person is. Everyone is so different, whether it's a woman who wants to play just to be social, a woman who wants to play because she's athletic and wants it as a new exercise and kind of activity, or a woman who's in corporate and wants to use it as networking. There's so many aspects to golf that women could be interested in. So I think understanding that and kind of bringing that to them and showing them that that is an opportunity within the sport. So I think kind of just catering that to women and showing them that this is a space for them no matter what they do. Are you a stay-at-home wife? Are you in corporate? Are you a mom? There's so many different avenues that you can take in golf.
Well said. Like, that comment just kind of like resonated with me like a little bit. Like, you're like, if you're a mom, like, what a great place to spend time with your family than on the golf course, and bring your kids out. I have a daughter that's graduated from college, that's starting her professional career, and she got golf clubs for Christmas. And I said, you need to, if you play golf, to your point, like the networking opportunities are like, you're the one that's going to get invited to that 4-person corporate scramble in the office, and the non-golfers won't, right? And so guess what happened? She got invited to a 4-person scramble last week,
Oh.
and played, and so like to your point, like doesn't matter where you are in your life, like golf can fit into your lifestyle, and can help you galvanize relationships, whether it's work relationships, familial relationships, around spending time with your family, and everything in between, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what's so unique about golf too is no matter where you are in life, professional wise, family wise, but then also age, any age you can play golf. Fitness, whether you have disabilities or there's so many different opportunities for people to play golf and different organizations to connect you with people that could help you or give you that community to where you feel welcomed and safe and excited to go and learn. So it's really exciting to see people kind of embracing that and seeing the opportunities within the sport. So that's something that I love because when I was growing up playing golf, there was not any of that. And so I love seeing the growth within the sport and seeing people fall in love with the sport. That's been such a big part of my life.
So with that said, though, what made you ultimately fall in love with the sport? What were the virtues that stuck with you?
There's a lot of things that I love about golf. There's a lot of things I don't love about golf, which I think any golfer can relate to. But from a young age, I just absolutely loved being outside. I think the most peaceful place ever is the driving range. And I love practicing early in the morning when I'm the only one on the range, or you got that early 9 holes and you're the only one on the course. And the dew is on the grass and the birds are chirping and it's just the most peaceful place ever. And so I fell in love with that. And then I also fell in love with the challenge of golf. Every day is so different. Every shot is different. Every round, there's different, stuff that you come across in your round and challenges and shots that you want to learn and things you want to work on. And I just love the creativity that golf forces you to have in order to get better. And that's, I don't know, I grew up playing a lot of sports, but golf was the one I just became addicted to. And I just love going out and hitting different shots and trying new things. So that was something that I fell in love with. I still love today. And you're always working on something in golf. You've never truly mastered it. And I think that's what keeps a lot of us in it too.
One of the things that really helped me fall in love with the game, and I'm still a very, very beginner, is the time that I got to have with my girlfriends on the golf course, which as a woman, I never, guys are used to doing that from a young age, I think, but more and more, we're having the opportunity to do that. And I thought, what a special time just to be able to spend time on the course with my friends. Tell me about your girl groups. Like, who do you go out and play with?
Similar to you, that's an aspect that I fell in love with too. I grew up playing the LPGA Girls Golf Club. And, that was an organization that started in Phoenix and I joined when I was 6 years old. And my girls group now consists of girls that I met through junior golf in Phoenix. We played.
Are they professionals? Are they just
professional? But not anymore. But it's just crazy looking back. We grew up playing junior golf. We went to high school together. We played on the high school team together. We all played Division I college. And golf is still a big part of our lives in different ways. But I think that goes to show how strong the connections are and the relationships are that you build through golf, whether you're playing competitively or you're just playing for fun. There's not many opportunities you get where you spend, 2 to 5 hours with somebody one-on-one outside in this beautiful environment. I think golf allows you to create really unique relationships with people. And that's why, of my best friends, they all used to play golf and we met through golf. And so, now that I have a son, I'm thinking about that with sport and golf and what I want to get him involved in. And that's something that I think is so important because I see the value that it brought to my life.
Yeah, super cool. I have a question for both of you, actually. 'Cause as a beginning golfer, you guys are both very good golfers. Sorry, Kris, but Cheyenne's better than you, I'm sure. But But okay, so you've got 3 people, you need a 4th for your foursome. Would you play with a beginner like me? Do you not have as much fun when you've got a beginning golfer, or are you more open to it? Because as a beginning golfer, that's one of the things that can be so intimidating about the game, is going out with people who play so much better than me. Now, I work for Troon, and I'm encouraged to pick up my ball and tee it up in the fairway, and I make sure that I'm tracking with pace of play. But I'd love to hear what you say about that, Cheyenne.
I'm so glad that you asked this question, because the most common conversation that I have with beginner golfers is that they're not good, and yeah, I kind of played, but and I always tell them it doesn't matter how good you are, because I've played thousands and thousands of pro-ams in my life. And my best experiences and most fun experiences are those that enjoy what they're doing, not those that are out there shooting 65. I've played with people who can barely get it off the tee, but we laughed all day and we had this great games of golf. And so I genuinely enjoy playing golf with people of all skills levels. And it doesn't matter how advanced you are or if you're a beginner, but if you're enjoying what you're doing and having fun with it, open to learning, open to meeting people, I love that. So yeah, I would totally play with you.
Awesome. Kris, I know. What about you? I know you're like a huge proponent of the game, and you've got daughters and a beautiful wife, and like, so I'm sure you're open, but I'd still love for you to answer it.
I think people that go into the game of golf are more self-conscious, or more like they put more weight on themselves about being a beginner than and I think as a beginner, like, stop that. Like, we don't care. Like, I don't care if you shoot 144 or if you shoot 74. Like, just like Cheyenne said, be there to have fun, and we're gonna hit good shots, we're gonna hit bad shots, and I would say be cognizant of pace of play, and you don't need to take 3 practice swings. If you watch Cheyenne play professional golf, she's not taking 3 practice swings unless she has a funky short chip around a green that's from a downhill lie that she's trying to rehearse. But from a fairway, her probably setup to execution's probably 45 seconds at most. And I think sometimes beginner golfers, take too long with that process, which creates more doubt in your head and creates more anxiety. And it's better just to pull the trigger. And so as a beginner golfer, like, try to compress your pre-shot routine, and that will help you with pace of play, will help you, not have as many doubts and thoughts in your head, and just be there to have fun. And I love playing golf with anybody, as long as you're there to have fun, and as long as the pace is appropriate to the course that you're playing, and so I don't know, when I was playing in junior golf tournaments in Hawaii, I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I'll never forget the starter in the first tee would tell every group, if you can't play good, play fast. You can't play good, play fast. You can't play good, play fast. So maybe that was just drilled in my head.
Yeah. And I would say too, as a beginner, if you are playing with somebody that might be a little bit better than you, don't feel like you have to apologize for how you're playing. I've experienced that a lot with beginners of, maybe they're taking a few shots to get to the fairway and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it's really okay, because we're just out there to have fun. So I would definitely advise, don't feel bad about how you're playing. Just embrace the moment and enjoy the golf round with the people that you're with.
And
and I think the more you're exposed to it, though, you watch TV and you watch the professionals on TV, and everybody takes bad shots. Like, this is not a perfect game, right? That kind of takes the intimidation out of it.
Yes.
They're gonna, if you're playing with those beginners, they're gonna hit that one shot that just captures their heart, and that gets them hooked on the game of golf. And on my birthday, my oldest daughter and her girlfriend played with me, and her girlfriend was her first round on the golf course. And we get to this par 3, and she hit driver, because it was a longer par 3, and she just striped it. And like, you could tell it was that one shot that captured, and it was a little short of the green. And the funniest story, I'm like, and I do what every golfer does, it's a little short of the green, and it's rolling. I'm like, I go, run. And then she like starts to run.
Oh, no.
Not you, it's the ball. It's the best. But like, shout out to Savannah. She did great in her first round of golf, and that shot captured her heart. And I think she'll turn into a golfer as a result. And I'm thankful that my daughter brought her on the golf course for her first round. And
What a great story.
so, but funny story. And it's funny how we all have these nomenclatures in our game that would get, you know, sick, bite, like
Yeah.
what?
Right. Well, I'm also wondering what you guys think of the explosion in off-course golf and how that has it helped or hindered women getting into the game and the inclusivity?
Well, I'm gonna lead and tee that off with Cheyenne, but
Okay.
I can tell you, like, when she was talking about when she took up the game in 1995, and obviously Tiger winning in 1997 and creating that boom, that was a boom in golf. We're in a boom in golf now. And if somebody asked me what's the difference between then and now, it's off-course golf opportunities. It's Top Golf, it's Golf Zone Social, it's Pop Stroke, it's all these cool things that are creating these on-ramps for the game of golf. And we're getting clubs in millions of people's hands that wouldn't have otherwise touched it. And that's the on-ramp or the bunny slope, if you will. And then I know that there is data out there that a percentage of them are going into the green grass part of the game and are taking it onto the golf course thereafter. So we got to keep pushing that and making sure that we're doing that job and bridging the gap from a simulator golf at a Golf Zone Social or a Pop Stroke or a Top Golf experience to the encore. So that's my personal opinion. But go ahead, Cheyenne. She asked you too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only helping the growth of the game. It's only helping getting more people involved in the game of golf. In so many different aspects as well, whether it be weather, depending on where you live, whether it's raining or it's cold, you can go to a simulator and still get that experience of playing golf. Or you're a beginner and you're a little nervous to go to the golf course, you can kind of go to an indoor facility and get that little taste of what golf is and get comfortable before you take that big step onto the big course. And I think time-wise too, some people don't have time or have the access to go to a golf course that you can just, zip over from work, or you have 30 minutes, you can hop over and just hit a few balls in the simulator with your family. And I think it just opens the door to so many different people to be able to have, like you said, access to the game of golf and, Top Golf, Golf Zone Social. It's really exciting to see these spaces open up and make golf more accessible and more social for people to go and play. And I think it's a more non-intimidating environment too. So I think that's always good for golf.
Well, I'm going to ask you another question related to the, traditional golf. So you grew up in Phoenix and you got to play some Troon facilities along the way in high school and then coming back as a collegiate player and then coming back as a professional. So relative to your experiences at Troon managed facilities and courses, like what's the difference? What did you see as a golfer?
Yeah. I honestly didn't recognize the difference in golf management until I was older in golf and the difference that it makes in a golf course. And one of my golf courses that I played all the time was Phoenix Country Club through high school. It was our home course and we played there almost every.
Nice.
And then in my professional career, I've made that my home course. So I've kind of seen the evolution of also being able to appreciate a good golf course and the way that it's ran. I've traveled so much and it's hard to find a good facility with good people, good managed golf course in good shape. So to be able to see that in Troon, especially like I said, at my home course, Phoenix Country Club for so long, I just, as a professional golfer, appreciate it so much because it makes a big difference to be able to go and have that consistency of service. You just are comfortable, you can get a good round in, a good practice in as a professional golfer. That's huge, just to know that you have that quality facility. So it's surprisingly hard to come by sometimes, but it's nice to know when I go to a Troon facility, I can trust that I'll have that consistency there of service.
Thank you so much for that and testimonial and kind words. And, we hope that every one of the golfers, members that get to experience a Troon managed facility share a similar sentiment, regardless of what city you're in, what state you're in, or really what country you're in around the world. So,
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Julia, as we start to put a bow on this here in Troon Women's Golf Month with Cheyenne Woods?
Oh, so exciting to be able to talk to you. I would just love to know what's next. What do you have on your list for the next 3 to 5 years besides your little baby Cameron and new husband?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of changes in the last.
Got a lot going on.
But it's been really exciting, like I said, to now see golf and life through the eyes of my son. You know, I take him to the golf course sometimes, and I'm looking forward to when he's old enough to really get into it. But in the next few years, definitely involving golf in my life more and more. Getting involved, like we're doing a first tee event next week here in New York.
Oh, great.
So giving back to the junior facilities and junior programs when I can, because it was such a big part of my life. And I do still enjoy doing pro-ams and corporate events. So staying in golf, and LPGA was here last week in New Jersey. So stay involved with that. I'm on the board of the LPGA Foundation. So trying to keep my hands in the game and give back whenever I can, because it was such a big part of my life. So definitely staying in the golf life and golf world as much as I can.
That's awesome.
Thanks for everything that you do.
And we're so grateful that you're part of the Troon world of golf and part of Team Troon and part of the Troon family. And thank you for all that you do to be a great ambassador, you know, not just for Troon, but for the game of golf, as you articulated, and don't ever quit doing that, because again, we have so much to be thankful for this game, and that's the least we can do is give back and try to keep passing the torch and getting others inspired to play the game. Now, whether it's at the highest level that you articulated that you've been to, or whether it's what Julia and I do to just play golf for social fun and connection. But thank you, and for all the thank you for the listeners that are out there, for again, all of the women in the world of Troon, you know, and those that are looking to get into the game. Seek a Troon facility near you. Go to troon.com. Follow @Troon on your favorite social handles, and get connected to the game. Get connected to a Troon facility near you, and enjoy Troon Women's Golf.
Yes, and subscribe to the Turn podcast. Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, Kris Strauss. And thank you to our listeners. We hope you tune in again next time.
This has been The Turn, a golf business and experience podcast powered by Troon. Every episode is available on troon.com. Follow us on Twitter @TheTurnPod, and subscribe to The Turn podcast through iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or wherever you prefer to download